My teacher turned me into a crossdresser. Jake was a typical 19-year-old guy who loved sports and video games. He breezed through his classes at college, except for one, fashion design. Despite his struggles, there was one reason he couldn't shake off his determination to do well in that class. His teacher, Helen. She was not only kind and understanding but also incredibly passionate about fashion. Jake admired Helen so much that he longed to impress her with his work. He wanted to make her proud, by showing her that he was capable of excelling in her class. As the semester progressed, Jake found himself spending extra hours in the fashion studio, pouring his heart into his projects, hoping that Helen would notice his efforts. Jake felt a sinking feeling in his chest as he received yet another disappointing grade in fashion design. Despite his best efforts, he just couldn't seem to grasp the concepts as quickly as he had hoped. Determined to seek guidance, he waited for the rest of the class to leave before nervously approaching Helen at her desk. "Helen, can you please tell me how I can improve?" he asked, his voice tinged with desperation. Helen looked at him with a warm smile, her eyes filled with understanding. "I can see that you're trying, Jake. Why don't you come over to my house this evening? We can revise together and work on improving your understanding." Feeling a mix of nerves and excitement, Jake agreed and made his way to Helen's address after his last class of the day. When she welcomed him into her cozy apartment, she offered him a drink before they settled down to study. As they pored over fashion theory and discussed current trends, Jake found himself becoming more engaged and inspired by Helen's knowledge and passion for the subject. They talked about how fashion brands design their collections, the importance of staying true to one's vision, and the impact of social media on the industry. With Helen's patient guidance, Jake began to feel a glimmer of hope that he could improve and succeed in the class. And as they continued to revise together, he found himself drawn not only to the world of fashion but also to the woman who had opened his eyes to its beauty. Jake poured his heart and soul into his fashion designs at home, determined to do better in class. But when he received yet another poor grade, he felt his hopes crumbling. Perhaps this just wasn't for him, he thought, considering giving up on his dream. However, before he could make up his mind, he received a text from Helen asking him to visit her at her house for a special revision session. Feeling a glimmer of hope, Jake agreed and arrived at Helen's house later that day. When she opened the door, he was taken aback by her appearance. Helen was wearing the short, silk white dress they had studied in class earlier that day, looking stunning. Helen explained that maybe he was more of a visual learner and invited him in for a study session. Jake's heart raced as he entered her house, hoping that whatever Helen had in mind would finally help him improve his grades. Jake sat on the plush couch in Helen's living room, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness as she pulled out various garments from her closet. "Let's dive into the practical side of fashion, shall we?" Helen smiled warmly at him. As Helen began to model dresses, blouses, skirts, and other items they had been studying in class, Jake couldn't tear his gaze away. Each outfit was more stunning than the last, and he found himself imagining what it would be like to wear such beautiful clothes. Lost in his thoughts, Jake barely had time to process one outfit before Helen was already changing into another, effortlessly showcasing the elegance and artistry of each piece. He couldn't help but admire her grace and confidence as she moved around the room, each garment enhancing her natural beauty. Throughout the impromptu fashion show, Jake's initial reservations melted away, replaced by a newfound sense of curiosity and wonder. As he watched Helen twirl in a gorgeous gown, he couldn't ignore the flutter of excitement in his chest at the idea of trying on some of the clothes himself. The evening wore on, with Helen guiding Jake through the intricacies of each design and explaining the thought process behind their creation. With every moment that passed, Jake felt a growing sense of connection not only to the art of fashion but also to the woman who had been his mentor and guide. As the night drew to a close, and the last dress was carefully put away, Jake couldn't shake the lingering feeling of possibility in the air. Jake sat on Helen's plush couch, feeling a flutter of nerves as she suggested exploring her closet. "You don't have to leave right away, Jake," Helen said softly, her eyes filled with warmth. "Let me show you some of my favorite outfits." Grateful for the opportunity, Jake nodded eagerly, curious to see the treasures hidden in Helen's wardrobe. As they went through the various pieces, Helen quizzed Jake on the concepts they had revised earlier that night. Jake struggled to recall some answers, frustration building within him as he realized his shortcomings. Helen let out a small sigh, her expression thoughtful. "There's one last thing we can try, Jake," she said, her voice gentle yet firm. "To truly understand and immerse yourself in fashion, you need to experience it firsthand." Jake's eyes widened in surprise as Helen's words sank in. What do you mean?" he stammered, uncertainty creeping into his voice. A small smile graced Helen's lips as she met his gaze. "You have to try them on, Jake," she explained, her tone encouraging. "To feel the fabric against your skin, to see how the garments shape and transform you. It's the final step for you to truly comprehend the essence of fashion." Jake couldn't shake the thought of trying on the clothes from Helen's closet. It consumed his mind over the weekend, swirling with curiosity and apprehension. As Monday rolled around, Jake found himself unable to resist the urge any longer. After college, he mustered up the courage and approached Helen with a request to visit her house again. The excitement tingled in the air as Helen's face lit up with a knowing smile. "I guarantee you that your next grade will be higher if you just do as I say," she teased mysteriously. With a racing heart and a mix of nerves and anticipation, Jake followed Helen to her house once more, eager to unravel the secrets held within her wardrobe. Helen brought Jake up to her room, a cozy space filled with colorful fabrics and stylish accessories. She began to lay out numerous outfits around her bedroom, each one unique and eye-catching. As she guided Jake on how to put on and style each garment, explaining the importance of color coordination and accessorizing, Jake listened attentively, absorbing every word. He tried on various outfits, feeling a rush of excitement and empowerment with each new look. Helen's guidance and expertise transformed him from a hesitant student into a confident fashion enthusiast. With her help, he learned how different clothes fit different styles and how to express himself through fashion. Jake was overwhelmed with joy as he looked at himself in the mirror, seeing a version of himself he never knew existed. He didn't know how to express his gratitude for Helen's mentorship and the newfound passion she had ignited within him. Helen could see the spark in Jake's eyes and the happiness on his face. She knew she had unlocked something special in him. With a knowing smile, she offered to take it a step further, suggesting they experiment with makeup and hairstyling to complete the looks. As Jake continued visiting Helen's house for revision sessions, his grades gradually improved. He found himself torn between his love for learning about fashion and his enjoyment of wearing the clothes himself. One evening, as they were going over outfit ideas, Helen suggested they go out together while he was dressed up, to practice planning an ensemble for an upcoming event. Jake hesitated at first but eventually agreed. Dressed in the latest trends, they hit the town, with Jake feeling a newfound sense of confidence and freedom in expressing himself through fashion. From elegant dresses to stylish skirts, each outfit allowed Jake to showcase his evolving taste and creativity. The experience of stepping out in public as his true self ignited a deep passion for fashion within Jake. With Helen's guidance and support, he not only aced all his final exams but also decided to pursue a career in the fashion industry. As he bid farewell to his teacher-turned-mentor, Helen, Jake felt eternally grateful for her transformative influence on his life. With a heart full of gratitude and a mind buzzing with dreams of his future in the world of fashion, Jake stepped into the next chapter of his journey. Armed with newfound confidence and a passion that burned brighter than ever before.